right. We'll let everybody get in here as usual. Justin, we've got tons of questions on the board, man. People just jumped on in that.
Sounds good to me, dude. Look what I got the other day. By the way, I haven't done this in years. Growing up, I mean, this was when I was
Lindy's
11, 12 years old. I mean, I would just crush it. I would go, whatever, take them to the beach in the summer. And then for years, I just didn't. I don't know. I guess when I got into this business, I just stopped buying them because I'm covering it a lot. I don't, whatever. And I was there at the bookstore buying some new books for the little one to read at bedtime. And I was like, well, I mean, I got to get me some, you know what I mean? So I got to catch up on these. They're fun, man. It's like this is, you know what? This is the one part of college football that's remained the same. Like, I'll give a shout out to Athlon and Lindy's. This is nostalgic. Nothing I don't recognize, and I think a lot of people that grew up watching college football in my generation that I was 10 in 1994, 95. A lot of the people that are writing and commentating on college football now grew up in that era, and it's just they don't recognize it. Certainly people that grew up watching it in the 70s or 80s don't recognize it, but even the 90s when things started to change, kind of when these became popular, this is like the holdover. Like, what else is the same from college football from the 90s? Like, there's just tailgating. I mean, you know what I mean? But like, everything about it is changing and it feels different, but this takes you back. It's fun.
Yeah. I used to, for whatever reason, they come out in the summer. I would always be at the beach.
Yep.
And it's like when you're making the grocery store run for the beach week, and I'd be like begging for it. I got to have that.
There used to be a third one. Wasn't there a third one? Athlon, Lindy's. Was there a third? Wasn't there a third one? I mean, Phil Steele does his. I was never a big Phil Steele fan. No offense. These were the ones I went to. Phil Steele does a great job. I probably should get his as well, but his doesn't seem to be quite as readily available. I don't know at the bookstores, but maybe that's why. Was there? I just feel like there was another one. Athlon. Maybe I'm imagining that.
I won't say there was. I kept them. I'm gonna have to go back and look. They're at my parents' house. I'm gonna go look for them, see if I can find, because I always got all of them. So I probably.
Oh yeah, the regional covers and yeah, it's cool kind of looking through
Pro Football Focus PFF has one now that they put out like that.
Do they? That'd be maybe a good one.
Okay, I know there was always a I think it was right when fantasy football became a thing. I always got that fantasy football one, or draft magazine, maybe it was. Something had to do with the college players going to the NFL. So
it's pretty good. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously, when it comes to like Auburn, it's always sort of straightforward stuff: offense, defense. I like sort of looking at the depth chart, which we kind of know that they're sort of guessing on some of them, especially the transfer portal era. It's like, some of these who knows how it'll go. But what I was looking at in Athlon does. I always like this where they do position rankings.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
I like that because you can, give or take. You can obviously disagree with them, but it kind of gives you a quick little look, and you can kind of be like, okay, where do you stack up? Because all we do is talk about Auburn, right?
Yeah.
But if we're not talking about where they stack up, then if we're talking about Auburn and going, they need to go X and X for a record. But if we're not, what's the context of how tough the conference is and stuff like that? But
yeah.
Like just glancing at theirs, it's not. I mean, it screams 7-5. It really does. Like they got quarterback at 12, so they think Jackson Arnold's 12th best, basically the quarterback. By the way, 12th. Running back room 13. Basically, they're going off starters. By the way, they're not really going off overall room. They're kind of saying Jackson Arnold's the 12th best quarterback going to the league. 13th running back, receiver 2. We've talked about that. O-line 6. D-line 10th best in the league. Linebacker 11. DB 8. I mean, so you're outside of receiver and offensive line. Everything else is bottom half to even bottom, quarter. The way they see it. They think a lot of Florida. I mean, Florida quarterback 4, running back 4, receiver 7, O-line 2, D-line 8, linebacker 7. Anyway, I just
It's
thought it was
amazing.
interesting.
Is it not amazing what a couple wins will do for you?
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Look,
recruited well.
they have a good roster. I think their running back room is stout. That Jaden Ball guy, he doesn't get talked about a lot. That guy's a monster. So they got obviously DJ Lagway, he's good too. But boy, you're talking about a couple wins that saved your coach from being fired, turned you into one of the hottest programs. Not to mention what.
Did we lose Cole? He'll come back. He always comes back, and give him about 10 seconds. He'll pop back on. I don't know. We might have lost him. But on Florida, yes. I mean, the confidence in Florida is you beat LSU. They beat LSU in November. They got embarrassed at Texas. They had injuries, and they lost at Texas. But then Florida beat LSU, beat Ole Miss at home, won at Florida State. Florida State was terrible. And then beat Tulane. So, I mean, who cares about beating Florida State and who cares about beating Tulane, honestly? But beating Ole Miss at home, that was a game. Golly, Jackson Dart played like garbage. Anyway, I'll kind of glance through these, but it's kind of fun to sort of put your hands on this stuff. Nothing. I glanced through sort of Auburn and where Auburn stood on some of these. Nothing really stood out. You know, they think a lot of Cam Coleman. They think a lot of Eric Singleton. A lot of, you know, everything kind of rides on Jackson Arnold. You know, it's the stuff you know.
Yeah.
It's the stuff you know. And it's kind of good. Like I was looking at ESPN's FPI, and I put that up yesterday, and goodness gracious, I got some reaction about FPI saying Auburn's 7-5, basically. And that didn't excite the people. Didn't excite the people.
I mean, doesn't mean it's right.
No. It's like the people were like, they would not be happy with that. I mean, that's just more and more from our boards, from social, just the fans' reaction. 7-5 is just not gonna cut it in terms of pleasing the fans. It would have to be 7-5, and you lose, and you like, you know, you outplay Georgia, you lose, or you go toe to toe, or you go to toe to toe with Bama, and you look at it and you go 7-5, but that's going to feel a lot like year one. That's the problem. If you go 7-5 and have like a close loss to Georgia and Bama, let's say,
yeah,
you're gonna it's gonna feel like you're doing year one again, where you go 6-6 and you go, yeah, but we were so close against Georgia and you're so close against Bama, and that's the only issue with, I think, going 7-5 and maybe potentially having another close loss where you could look optimistically, but it's going to feel like you're repeating the narrative of year one a little bit, you know?
Well, I'm glad you brought it in that way, Justin, because I have what we're going to do, I think, is going to be more of a a very intense breakdown. Not intense. What's the word I'm looking for?
Intense. Let's go. Intense.
No, that's not the right. It's more of a detailed. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Detailed breakdown. And I don't know what my internet's about to do because we got a storm blowing. The daily storm is blowing through right now. So hang in there. But I want to play a game. We got a ton of questions, man.
Okay.
We'll hit those. For those joining us now, we're going to play a game or two. There's a game that a game. I call it a game. We're just going to do an exercise. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Couple things. Number one, I want to play better or worse, Justin.
Okay.
Basically,
let's go.
Don't think too much about this. I pulled up my post-spring Auburn depth chart projection, which I still think is pretty legit. I think we're all over this on who the starters are going to be.
Yeah.
I want to ask you the starter and the backup, and you just say better or worse than a year ago.
Oh gosh.
And we're not bashing anybody here. It's strictly just answer the question as you think.
You might have to remind me of the starter. Like, give me like the starter last year, starter this year.
Okay, I think we can do that. We should be able to do that. So we'll run through that. Let's run through that. Quarterback, Jackson Arnold at number 1 versus Peyton Thorne last year.
Should be better.
I agree. I'll go better. How about we don't really know the backup yet, whether it's Ashton Daniels or Deuce Knight.
Let's just go starters.
Okay, just starters.
Yeah.
Running back, let's say Damari Austin
Worse.
versus Jarquez Hunter. Exponentially worse, just a little worse. What do you think?
No, just not as good. I mean,
I agree.
You can't possibly say that one of those guys are what you would get from Jarquez Hunter. No.
I agree. I need to keep a tally of this, or else who cares, right?
We're even. We're even right now. We're at even par.
QB, we say better. Running back, we say worse for now. Okay. Wide receiver, we'll do 3 positions here. So Cam Coleman versus Cam Coleman a year ago is basically what you're doing. Better or worse?
Better.
I agree. Eric Singleton over Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Oh man, I mean,
Very good stuff.
How do you say better or worse? I mean, I don't. To me, can we say even? I mean,
Yeah.
KLS like almost set the single season. I mean, 900 some yards. I don't really know. I will say, all right. Here's what I'll say. I will go better. I will go better because I think Singleton brings an element, a dynamic element, that speed element that's really, really game changing. So I'm going to say that gives him the edge to say that's a little bit better. A little bit better. And he's projected first, second round. KLS was never projected a first round pick. So
I think maybe we say slightly better, but it is going to be tough to live up to what KLS did.
Yeah, I think Singleton's potentially a better player production, but KLS produced. No question.
All right, and then slot is Malcolm Simmons. He's the slot receiver, I guess you would say. But is that going against Malcolm Simmons? Last year, are we going against Robert Lewis, who was really the starter there?
Well, either way, better. Malcolm will be better than he was, and Malcolm will be better than what Robert Lewis was.
Okay. I agree. Tight end. Brandon Frazier versus Rivaldo Fairweather.
Depends on how you want to look at that one. I mean, I know you said answer quickly, but this is a little bit nuanced. I mean, Rivaldo was a better potential pass catching target. He had a little more athletic ability, certainly. But boy, did he do some things wrong in the blocking game and route running, and he was not reliable. So I will say if Brandon Frazier will be just reliable, like you know what he's going to do, he's going to block the right person, he's going to run the right route, I'm going to say better. I don't. It sounds crazy because he's not. I mean, Brandon Frazier might go games without catching a ball, but if he's reliable, I'll take it over some of the miscues that Rivaldo had last year. Like some of the stuff you would see from him cost them yards, like cost them plays, man. So at some point, just being reliable matters. So I don't know. That's a weird one. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I'm actually better. You're like, well, Brandon Frazier's not better than Rivaldo Fairweather. Maybe not as like a pure athlete, but executing his job, he might be.
That's true. I'm going worse because I think you lose a little bit of a threat there as a receiver.
Totally fair.
So let's call that one a draw.
That one is like, what do you want out of the position? Are you going pass catching threat? Worse. Are you going somebody that I think will execute like the play and not miss blocks and run routes? I would say better.
You have to think too. I mean, the offense, we think it's going to move more towards the 10 personnel, more receivers, less tight ends.
Yeah.
If that's the case, does it have to be all that much better? I mean, it's kind of like running back.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it does. It can make a difference if it's better. It make a huge difference, right?
By the way, weren't there some times, not to spend like all the time on the tight end, but we're sitting here just chatting. Brandon Frazier's had moments where like when he has caught a ball, he's not unathletic. He's he's not Rivaldo like, and just where like you kind of look at Rivaldo and like, man, if he could just put it together. But Brandon Frazier is a big dude. He's not unathletic. I mean, there are gonna be times I think where he catches a ball and does his job and looks good doing it.
In the LSU game, I don't know what year it was. Maybe it was the one where they got blasted and he ended up playing. They threw him the ball a couple times. He ran like a 9 route, like what you would see a receiver doing, like a go route, and threw it over the top to him. He caught it like, pretty good route. All that was good. I go back to that route a lot. I'm like, dang, man, that's pretty good. And then you look at, he was a 4-star in high school, big recruit, a guy that was a pass catcher from Texas, I believe he was from.
Yeah.
So he's interesting, man. It's so crazy that he's still on the team. Number one, that was such a long time ago when he was recruited. That was Gus.
Man, it does seem like forever ago.
Forever ago. But I'm calling that a draw since you say possibly better. I say possibly worse. So let's call that a draw.
Okay.
Left tackle would be Xavier Chaplin versus Percy Lewis.
Better.
Pretty much anybody you put there. Yeah. I say better for sure. I guess Percy Lewis half the time, Dylan Wade sometimes.
Yeah, better. Clearly better.
Left guard is going to be Dylan Wade versus who was the left guard last year? Braden Joyner most of the time.
Yeah, I mean better. Let's go slightly better. Better situation.
I agree.
A little more consistency, maybe.
Center Connor Lew versus Connor Lew last year.
Let's just say the same. I mean, I'm not saying he's like that's a bad thing. I thought he played well. I think he'll play well.
Okay, we'll call that a draw. Right guard, Jeremiah Wright versus Jeremiah Wright. Draw. Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I think he's good, by the way. I think he's really
good.
And
he could play better than last year, but I don't know if he's going to be light years better than last year. I don't know. Let's just say let's just say same.
All right. Right tackle Mason Murphy now versus Isaiah Miller. I have Mason Murphy projected to be the starter over Miller. Miller was starter last year. What do we think? If he beats him out, we'd have to say better, right?
Yeah, that's a better. I mean, you got to say better. I mean, if nothing else, you went out and got him for the purpose of starting there. Like so even the coaches, clearly there's a thought there that he's a better option. I mean,
if he's a starter, this is a projection, obviously. And that's just what I've heard and it looked like that in the spring that he might be taking over that job. But I also think there could be some shuffling where maybe Murphy goes to guard and they find a better, 5 in that way. And maybe Miller's part of that and he is the right tackle. And we'll see.
And I'll actually go back and say Jeremiah Wright better. I think he's bounced around so much in his career. Let's give him 2 straight years of being a guard. And let's say he takes a step forward and is a better player than he was a year ago. Not to be light years, but I think that's fair to say he should be better.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
All right. So defense, edge. This is an interesting one. You got Kieron Crawford and you're going against Jalen McLeod last year. I want to say Jalen McLeod's better than you realize. I don't know what he's going to do in the pros. I don't really care. What he did at Auburn, pretty impressive. It was good.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a tough one because Kieron Crawford could be really good this year.
He could be really good.
He probably has. He definitely, I would say, has the higher NFL upside. Kieron Crawford does.
He does. I don't know what were McLeod's stats last year.
I will tell you. Hang on.
What was his production? I know he was from a production standpoint. He was up there.
I want you to guess how many tackles for loss, how many sacks he had.
I would say he had 8.5 sacks, and I would say he had 12 tackles for loss.
Very close. He had 8 sacks, and he had 14 tackles for loss. He also had 57 total tackles. 2 forced fumbles as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit underrated part of his game. I thought he hustled and made tackles. I mean, for an edge to have it's a pretty good amount of tackles from he hustled.
He stood up a lot. He was playing stand-up linebacker more than usual last year too. So
I feel like the fair thing would be worse because we got because he was. I feel like that'd be the fair thing, But boy, I want to say better because Kieran is such a specimen that his length is better. You got to think his ability to get off blocks and put pressure on the quarterback might even be better than Jalen McLeod. I don't know where the production will be, but let's just say worse, but not dramatically worse. I mean, Jalen McLeod hustled, man. He made plays.
You want to
sideline
say
to
this one's too
sideline.
close to call right now? You want to draw it?
Let's just go draw because I do think Kieran Crawford, there's no reason he can't be an impact player.
I agree. In fact, as I'm doing this walkthrough through the entire season again on the board, he stood out way more than I realized. I mean, tons of quarterback pressures.
And seemed to get better.
Didn't finish a lot of plays, but that's, I tend to remember like maybe Jeff Holland the year before he had his breakout season. He was getting all these pressures, just wasn't finishing, and then put it all together that last year. You got to remember Crawford's a guy that was a basketball player. He went to Arkansas State. Was like his third year of football when he was playing there ever.
Yeah,
and he's a specimen. He's a specimen, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited about him. I think he's going to be good. Defensive end. So basically, your 5 technique. Keldrick Falk versus Keldrick Falk a year ago. I say better.
Let's say better. That's fine. I mean, he was really good last year. He should be really good again. Let's just say he gets slightly better.
That's another guy, man. Did not realize the impact he had in every game. He was impacting almost every play, at least in the ones I've watched so far, Arkansas and Oklahoma. He had an impact in some way on every play. I knew he was good. I didn't realize it was that much. So he's got to do that again, and maybe add a couple more sacks or tackles for loss to his resume at the same time. So, gonna be hard to be crazy better than he was, but he can be. I mean, that's what is expected of him, right?
Yeah.
All right. Defensive line. So 3 tech, which was technically, man, they just rotated so many people. Let's say Philip Bleedy was your guy there. He was. It's hard to say for this, but let's say just interior. We'll just do 2 interior D line spots. Bleedy was one of them. So Bleedy versus Blockton.
I got it. I'll go Blockton. I mean, I like what he saw. I like what I saw from him last year. I think another year, if the switch kind of comes on for him and he's sort of an every down guy, I mean, ceiling's pretty high for him, I think.
So I am going to go the opposite way here, believe it or not. I think Blockton has flashes where he's really good. It's such a by committee thing too. It's hard to just put one-on-one like this, but Bleedy, man, good. Better than you think. Once again, a guy that keeps standing out to me when I'm watching back on these games. Good with his hands. He got off of blocks a lot. I thought Blockton, there were times when he maybe got washed off the ball a couple times, just more inconsistent, which you would expect from a freshman. I guess the question is, does he progress to where he's better than what Philip Bleedy was, which I think you were getting everything you had out of Bleedy, right?
That's what I'm counting on. I'm just counting on Malik Blockton continuing to get better in his athletic ability and his ceiling, starting to make impactful plays. Like Bleedy, I thought was good, but I think Blockton, you're gonna have flashes of dominance at times, not dominance, but times where you're like, he just whips somebody one-on-one tackle for loss, and you're like, okay, he's got a little special in him.
I'm on board with that. If he does get consistent, I think he's better than Bleedy for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Nose. Well, I guess you're doing Bobby Jamison Travis versus basically himself, or maybe Jason Jones,
or Rakes.
Yeah, Rakes wasn't terrible. He was all right.
That's a hard one because I don't know. I mean, like
I say better because I'm watching all 3 of those guys right now. He's the one that flashes the most of those 3.
Yeah, it should be. I just haven't. That's one where I've seen less of Bobby Jamison Travis than a lot of these guys. I think there's potential there. We've heard about him for a while now, but I gotta see it. But Jason Jones was never anything special. Rakes, I thought, was pretty good. I thought Rakes
He won that. Yeah.
Was more athletic than he saw. But we'll say, oh boy,
I say better just because
that's fine. Better, that's fine. But I don't know about like light years. But I don't know about light years better. But
no, probably not.
Fine.
You also have, I mean, if you're just doing starter versus starter, but at nose now you have Bobby Travis, Jay Hardy, Jordan Crawford, Dallas Walker. I think you're set up better in that whole position.
Yeah. Okay, let's say better.
I'm not getting into specifics with linebacker positions, just 2 linebacker spots. So we'll say the 1 linebacker spot is Dorian Mausi versus Robert Woodyard or Caleb Wheatland, whoever starts there.
That's hard to say. I don't know enough about Caleb Wheatland. I think I like some of the production there, but I haven't seen him enough. I think he could be better than Dorian Mausi, but I don't know. Like I haven't seen him enough to be like better for sure. I don't know.
I have to go worse there because Mausi's another one of those guys, just exceeded what he probably is.
How big was Mausi?
Not very.
Like I might give the edge to Wheatland because I do think there's a little more size there, maybe than Mausi. Mausi's probably they're similar though.
They're about the same, really.
Yeah.
When it comes to size, Wheatland's not a big guy. Woodyard's not a big guy. Neither one of them are big guys, and they're playing in the middle. It's how big do you have to be?
Let's just say wash. I think that's a wash. Like I don't think there's enough gap one way or another. Honestly, I mean,
the only reason I go worse is because Mausi was just sound. He was in the right place all the time. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. It's just a solid linebacker. Made a lot of tackles. Curious what his stats were. Let's look. Dorian.
Yeah, he was up there in tackles for sure. Top 3 on the team.
He had 81.
Well, that's probably second, if not first.
Yeah, it's up there. He had 9 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and a fumble.
If he had 81 total tackles, that had to have led the team. Who had more?
I don't know. Let's look. I'm looking at that right now. Let's see.
Yeah, he led the team by 16.
Oh, you're looking at it now?
Over Jaron Thompson. Yeah.
Man, I'm going worse here. Until I see different, I can't go better or even draw it. I got to go worse.
Okay.
I mean, if you say draw and I say worse, let's
yeah, that's I mean, leading tackler, so I mean, yeah.
Other linebacker spot would be DeMarcus Riddick versus maybe Austin Keys was playing that spot the most.
Is Riddick going to be in the middle? Who's in the middle?
I think the mic is Woodyard or Wheatland, and then the wheel would be Riddick.
So wouldn't Riddick be more like Asante?
Yeah, I think so. Asante, Keys, they both played wheel, but Asante became the dime.
Compare him against Asante because I thought Keys is probably like the third best last year.
I'm good with that. So versus Asante, Riddick versus Asante. I think, man, it's tough, isn't
it? If Riddick, I mean, the potential's Riddick. Asante was good, not great in coverage. I'm gonna say, boy,
potential's better for sure. We know that.
It's hard because Riddick can't. I mean, he played I don't know how many snaps last year. He made an impact a few times, but he by no means was every game. There's Riddick every game. It was some games and some games not. And to go from that to saying you're going to be better than, a 2-year starter, pretty good player. I would love to say yes because Riddick's. I think we all agree Riddick's ceiling is so high. But I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna say better. I'm gonna say better. I'm gonna say that Riddick is the man. Like he's out there, he's the dude, and I'm gonna say that like all that athletic ability with that many more snaps, I think he's gonna make a lot of plays. I didn't love Eugene Asante in pass coverage. I thought he was a liability. So I'm going to say the plays that Riddick makes, the athletic ability, whether it's coming off the edge, spying a quarterback, just playing the position, I'm going to say he makes some real impactful plays at linebacker this year, and I'm going to say that those make a difference, and therefore I'd say he's going to be slightly better.
Surely this isn't right. Do you think Riddick played 453 snaps last year? This is combining special teams. Let me take special teams out.
Probably.
Taking special teams out, he played 239 defensive snaps.
Sounds right.
He lined up 120. They're saying on the D line, so basically like walked up as an edge, I guess. He played 123 of those. Played in the box 99 times. And played slot corner 15 times.
Yeah, I'm just going to say better. I mean, it's certainly he could not be. That's an optimistic take, I think.
Well, the question is, how much are we putting on what Eugene Asante did at the combine versus what he did on the field for Auburn?
I mean,
what he did at the combine is extremely impressive.
The thing is, you think back to Asante in 23. The Asante in 2023, he had 86 tackles that year. And then last year, he dropped to 46. I don't remember. Did he have some lingering injuries? So half the production from a tackle standpoint from 23 to 24. You obviously had Mausi and McLeod, but I don't remember last year. Did Asante?
He was playing a lot less in the box, for one. His position changed a little bit with Durkin, where he was
definitely changed a lot.
He's playing a lot more dime.
Yeah, Asante 2023 was fantastic to the point that in the offseason after 23, he had legit programs trying to see if he wanted to transfer. You would not have gotten some of those programs after last year. I mean, 46 tackles. I didn't think he was quite the same player. So if you're saying, if you ask me, is Riddick going to be 23 Asante, I would say, well, that's a big stretch, having not done it yet. But I didn't think Asante was fine last year, so I don't see why Riddick can't be better than what you got last year.
Production-wise, Riddick's going to match up with what Asante put on the field last year. I think we can say that pretty confidently.
And I think he's going to make a few plays that only he could make. The same way maybe blocked and could pop up and go, dude, that was a special play. That's like a first team All-American kind of play. Like, where'd that come from? I think you could see some of that too.
Asante played in what PFF is calling the slot corner position. He played 68 snaps in that position last year.
Yeah.
He played 70, walked up on the D line, and then the rest was in the box, and it's like 370.
Yeah.
But
all right.
I go better there for what we just said. It definitely he's going to at least match, and we think he makes some plays that maybe Asante didn't. So, better.
Yeah.
Nickel, which should be – that was kind of a by committee thing. Now we expect that to be Champ Anthony, right?
Yeah.
So who was it?
It was Champ, right? Until he got hurt.
It was Champ, and then it was like Kinsley Faustin was playing some of it. I think Jaron Thompson helped out there. It became like a by committee thing.
Alyssa, I'll say better. I mean, I think if Champ's healthy, he's a really good player. I think you got some talent in the secondary. So even if somebody else mixes in, I think that position will be better than it was last year.
I think it's better. The position is better. It's just in better shape anyway.
Yep.
So let's say that. All right. Corners. So first corner spot, Jay Crawford versus Jay Crawford.
I mean, I would say Lee and Crawford, let's just say the same. I mean, Crawford, certainly freshman year to sophomore year, you could definitely see a jump, but let's just say same, because I thought Crawford was pretty good too.
I have to say draw for Crawford, because when you look back at all the plays he made and the clutch plays he made, it's going to be hard to match that again. It's going to be hard. He broke up everything that he was. He was
He
in
came
good
on
position.
strong. Yeah, he came on strong out of the gate. Yeah.
Lee,
Let's say same.
I say draw for Lee too. I mean, we're saying draw for both, but there's some things there that he's got to clean up for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's not going to be any worse. I think we can fairly say
And
that.
then safety. I mean, let's say Caleb Harris better. Let's say better. I mean, a year under his belt. Of course, we're saying Caleb Harris better. We're saying Crawford same. But I thought Crawford was a little bit better of a player. I think Caleb Harris at that safety position, a little bit more used to everything that's going to go on there. Let's say slightly better. And then I don't know the other position.
So let's just say for the other position, you're putting Jaron Thompson up against a rotation of Anquan Fagans, Sylvester Smith, maybe like a Jacquez Robinson or Tay Seymour.
I would say we're just talking about next year. You kind of got to go worse. I mean, I'm not saying that some, Fagans or some of this young talent can't be good, but Jaron Thompson was second on the team in tackles last year. And what did we hear all last year? The guy was a vocal leader on the field, knew exactly what to do, when to do it. There's a lot of value in Jaron Thompson last year, and so I don't know that you can say whoever they plug in there is better than that. Like Jaron Thompson wasn't phenomenal, but he did a lot of good things, and he finished the season with 65 tackles, second on the team. I mean, are you saying whoever's going to be in that spot is going to finish 60 to 70 tackles and be the vocal leader in the back there? I don't think you would say that about any of those guys.
Right. So we got to go worse there.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So all the positions, we got 14 better. We say 14 of them are better.
14 to 22, or do we go 20? How many did we do?
Hang on, I'll tell you when I count them all up. So worst, we got 1, 2, 3. We're able to say for sure 3 positions maybe take a step back. And then a draw, we're not entirely sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
A draw on 5, worse on 3. Yeah.
14 better. It's interesting.
What are some of the do the people agree with us? We got anybody?
Yeah, let us know in the comments if y'all agree with that. If that sounds about right, if that's outlandish that we had that many better than anything else. Are we being too harsh?
Hayden said, is coaching better or worse?
In-game
coaching better or worse?
That's a good question.
Let's just say better. Let's say better talent. Maybe a quarterback that you think fits your system. If we're talking about offense, let's just say that's better. Durkin. It's funny when we talk about coaching, we pretty much are all talking about Hugh Freeze, right? Like we're not. Nobody's concerned with Durkin, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so when we talk about like coaching, we're pretty much like, is Hugh Freeze going to be better as an in-game coach? Which, I mean, can it get worse? I mean, it wasn't like a disaster, but it was certainly a disaster at times. It was not great. So let's go better. Yeah, see, Hayden said, looking back, he said, I trust Brandon Frazier to do his job more than Fairweather. I think I do too. Like Fairweather, you look at him, he's one of those guys that wins the battle, like coming off the bus. Yes, Rivaldo Fairweather, you're like, that dude's awesome, right? He has to be awesome. Look at him. But he'd run the wrong route, or he'd drop a ball, or he wouldn't block the right person. I mean, I was banging that drum from like the Cal game last year on. I was trying to tell you like that he was so unreliable as an all-around player. And so if Brandon Frazier can be a good blocking, seal the edge, and just be a target, a little safety target, I think he's got some qualities. I guess Zach, are we waiting on Cole? Did he disappear on us a little bit? Austin says, if the roster is significantly better, then why are we middle to bottom half of every position group? Well, that goes to the point. of what I was saying. Like, you got to take into account the whole SEC. I think the SEC is obviously recruiting at a high level. They're bringing in a lot of talent. So you're right. I think, well, number one, Auburn's roster needed to upgrade. So Auburn's roster could get better and still be middle of the pack just based on kind of where they were. So Auburn could take a step in the right direction from a talent standpoint. And if from an Auburn standpoint, you might say they're better at 75% of the positions, but it might only move them up a spot or two in the league. Maybe they go from 10 to 8 overall in the league. Like it's a climb, man, the way the SEC is.
Oh, we
Look at the way Florida's recruiting.
We didn't mention kicker. Probably should have done that.
Yeah, better.
Better.
But like the way Florida's recruiting, LSU just crushed it when it comes to bringing in talent. They're going to be a loaded roster. Oklahoma should be better. Like they should be a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. If Auburn's going to be better, why are they there? Why are they not? But like look at this. So they ranked Jackson Arnold 12th. He could easily be higher than that. Jackson Arnold's got the ability, if he goes out and it's a good system fit, and Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton are what they're supposed to be, Jackson Arnold's numbers could be fantastic. And you could be looking at Jackson Arnold as, I mean, you got Arch Manning 1, you got Nussmeier 2, you got Lenora Sellers 3. Can he break into that 3? Probably not. Let's just say let's say probably not. 4 would be Lagway. Well, can Jackson Arnold be as good as Lagway? I say yes. Lagway's good, but I mean, Jackson Arnold with the tools around him and his ability, if everything went right, sure he could. Pavia at 5. Sure he could. Pavia is awesome. I love Pavia. He does he has all those intangibles. But I'm just saying, if everything goes right for Jackson Arnold, there's no reason that a month into the season, if you re-ranked these SEC quarterback rankings, that you wouldn't go, oh, Jackson Arnold's the 4th or 5th best quarterback in the league. You easily could say that. Like, absolutely that could happen. So some of these position rankings, D-line 10th. Well, what if Blockton's pretty good? What if Travis is pretty good? What if Falk is what he is? What if Kieron Crawford takes a step forward? Like, that's a position that could grow. Linebacker, tons of unknown. DB's one. They got DB ranked 8th. Athlin's got the secondary ranked 8th in the league. Well, what if Jay Crawford takes a step forward and is a shutdown corner? What if Caleb Harris is just an absolute ball hawk at safety? Well, that's 2 of your 4 main positions right there. So some of these could rise. Like some of these are a little unknown, but I see room for improvement on some of those.
14 out of the whatever, I guess 22 that we say are better. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong.
And some were slightly better. Some were like, I would say marginally better. I wouldn't say every one of those betters is not like light years better, way better. I don't know if we can go there.
Yeah. No. Let me hit you with some of these questions, Justin, from our thread on the corner, because there's a ton.
Yeah, well, there's this one. Hold on, thoughts on Rayon Strader.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I love Strader. Like, I'm really curious to see what I think he's got a ton of ability. Like, I think Auburn, if this guy's the real deal, which I think he's got a lot of real deal abilities, I think Auburn could have 3 very good corners between him, Lee, and Crawford. I think they could have 3 corners that you put out there that you feel like can compete against the best receiver. Like, they're not going to get crushed. I think they can go out there and hold their own. I think Strader's got that ability.
Don't forget they went in and brought in another guy in the post spring portal, Rayshawn Pleasant from Tulane. That's at least I know he's got a lot of speed. He returned like 3 kick returns for touchdowns this past year.
Yeah,
played corner. He was all right. I don't think he was crazy good. He was good. So you got that guy too who could probably play. Corey Purdue, are you betting over or under 7.5 win total?
Oh man.
I mean, are you? What are you doing? Corey says.
What would I put money on? Oh boy. I mean, dude. I mean, you're asking me to bet on a
money.
coach that I think is just that I do not have a lot of faith in.
I put money on the under because they haven't given me. Yeah, thank you, Hayden Harris. Hashtag no gambling advice coming from here. That's not what we're doing. Don't go bet the house on the under just because we said it on the show and then blame us. I would take the under just because they haven't proven to do that yet. But my knowing what I know about the team and what it's capable of, and even what the coaching staff is capable of, I would bet the over. I'm just trying to be as logic as possible when if I'm money on it, right?
Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, let's just say Georgia and Bama are losses. They're at home. Auburn will be in those games. Absolutely. Let's just say those two teams are better than Auburn and they squeak it out over Auburn. Like, let's just say that happens. And I'm not saying that. I think Auburn can absolutely will be competitive in every game they play this year. That's two. Let's say they lose one of Oklahoma or A&M on the road. Just one of them. That's three. Then you're like, do you win at Baylor? Do you not screw it up at Vanderbilt against Pavia? What if you lost both of Oklahoma A&M? Like 8-4 is, that's why I go back to 8-4 absolutely being doable, and that's where I think they need to be. I just don't know if I could bet on the consistency of Hugh Freeze to lead that team to 8-4. But I mean, looking at it, if we're sitting here talking about the positions and what Jackson Arnold can be and what some of these guys can be, I would lean over. Like, I think they need to be 8-4. That's where now. If you're would I bet my own money? No, I wouldn't bet my own money on Hugh Freeze right now. No, I'm not gambling my money on Hugh Freeze being consistent or getting this team to 8-4, 9-3. I wouldn't gamble. I don't trust him enough right now. But they need to be 8-4. That schedule is not something that you look at and go, boy, 7-5 would be, just get out of there going 7-5. No, that's not that schedule. That schedule is not so hard that you go, boy, 7-5 would be like, what a year. No. I'm not buying it.
Right. Barn Rebecca Walls. Thoughts on some fans saying move Perry to tight end? No, I wouldn't do that.
I said last year move him to edge. Obviously, that'll never happen either. He wants to play receiver, but I thought like even seeing him as a freshman, I'm like, dude, put him at edge, man. Like if it'll never happen, the guy wants to play receiver, he wants to play receiver. But I'm just saying, like, man, it would have been awesome if some point you could have been like, hey, you could be your athletic ability and your frame and your length. You could be a stud edge. You could.
Yeah,
I'd go edge before I went tight end.
I don't see this as like a Robbie Ashford situation where I truly believe Robbie Ashford could benefit from moving to receiver. I think he'd be a good one. I don't just think he'd be a receiver. I think he'd be somebody that would be used and has speed. And I don't see this as that kind of situation. Perry, to me, is a receiver. I think he's got a lot of natural talent as a receiver. I think if you just took the route running part out of it and just threw him screens and things like that, you shouldn't.
Think about what you just said, though.
I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying if you hit him on some screens like you were doing Malcolm Simmons, I think he'd do a lot with it. I think that's the kind of player he is.
Yeah, give him the ball instead of just trying to go deep to him every time. Actually try to get it to him in a little bit of space.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that should be the case because that's what Gus Malzahn did, and I don't think anybody ever got any better by doing that. They're trying to make him a true receiver, and he should be. They should be doing that. Yeah. And I think he's coming along pretty well from everybody I've talked to. That talent, though, that natural ability just translates to being a playmaker after the catch.
It's going to be an interesting year for Perry Thompson. It's going to be a side story that we're going to watch because Cam, Cam, Eric Singleton, and Malcolm Simmons are the priority, and then Horatio Fields. So Perry might get better this year, and we might not even really see it. And then the question will be, will Perry be patient? If Singleton goes pro, you got Cam coming back, will he be patient and come back again, or is somebody going to talk him into leaving and going, it's 2 years, man, you're not even playing 2 years, and somebody talks him into Bolton, and instead of him just being patient at Auburn. Like, I think that's where we're headed with him.
Thing about it is there's so much that you don't see from an outside perspective. There's so much I don't see, even though I break down every play. I'm having to go back and do it again, and I'm finding it's like watching your favorite TV series, right? Have you ever rewatched a series that's like
Oh, yeah.
5 seasons and you go, "Man, I didn't catch that. Wow."
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
thought Cam Coleman's best football game so far in Auburn uniform was against Kentucky last year. You know what his stats were for that game?
What?
4 catches for 24 yards. The routes he ran in that game were perfect. His spacing was perfect. Everything was perfect. I don't think there's a coincidence at all that was Auburn's best football game. When he had his what I would call his most sound football game, when he didn't make any mistakes, his routes were right. I even wrote an article about this. You can go find it. It's there. Auburn has their best football game. No coincidence. That's just how it works. Of course, after this game, he goes on to Louisiana Monroe. He has a 100-yard game, 3 touchdowns. He go in the A&M game, which Auburn wins. He has 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then against Alabama.
Wait, what? Perry?
No. We're talking about Cam.
Oh, I was like,
not
yes.
Perry. Not
I was
Perry.
like, wait a minute, hold on, what? Yes,
I'm trying to compare to where everybody thinks those were Cam's best games, and they were good games. But one of the most sound games he played all year was Kentucky, where he just had 4 catches for 24 yards.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you don't realize that are going on. Going back and watching some of those first games of the year last year, Perry Thompson had some really big plays, actually, in games that weren't a big deal necessarily, but at least proving he can do it in a game setting. So it's there. I wouldn't move him. I don't think he's in the right place to answer the question.
No, it's fine. He is. I just sometimes we get fun with moving players and what could they be. And
Yep. So let me hit some of these questions. We'll run through these that are on the board. There's some good ones in here. South College says, should they shut down the Auburn football program because of the current state of recruiting? Just curious. No.
We'll see if they can kind of get the momentum going back in the right direction.
Carter Man 427. Do y'all believe DeMarcus Riddick will have an all SEC type season?
I mean, linebacker is always a loaded position in the SEC. So it's like, I mean, just even breaking into, I was trying to look at, see if, here we go. Lindy's all SEC team. Let's look at the linebackers. Perkins at Ole Miss. Yeah, Anthony Hill, Wheatwicks, Harold Perkins Jr., C.J. Torian York. Deontay Lawson. I mean, you're talking about Xavier Sorey at Arkansas's third team.
I forgot there's 2 Perkins. You're talking about Suntarine Perkins?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, Riggs got that potential. Sure, he could maybe compete for a third team type spot this year, but even those guys are pretty much, you better have 60 plus tackles. I mean, you got to be pretty stout.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, you got to see it consistently, and it's got to be more than just spying the quarterback or chasing somebody sideline to sideline. It's got to be all the things.
Yep.
All the things, which I think he can do. I think he can flash. I think he's going to flash at times.
He can still do that role too. You know, 3rd down, 3rd and 10 comes up. Definitely use him in a spy. Why not?
Yeah.
But he's just got to play full-time linebacker at the same time.
Yeah.
Just basically, I think a good comparison was Asante, not a comparison in player, but when we were doing the head-to-head there, because that's kind of what Asante did. He didn't spy. It's interesting to me that they did use Austin Keys as the spy before they started using Riddick. Did you remember it that way? I didn't. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember. What are some other ones?
In order for Auburn to win 9 games, what type of stat line do you think it would take from Jackson Arnold and the top 2 running backs? What kind of stats do they need to have? This is from Big Weagle on the board.
To win 9?
To win 9. Do you think Auburn can win 9 with a very similar stat line to what Peyton Thorne had last year? If Jackson Arnold has that.
I mean, the thing about Peyton's stat line is you'd have to really dig deeper. You have to go. You'd have to tell me what was the stat line against Bama, Georgia, A&M. A pretty good game against A&M. Like those are the games that matter. Take the others away. I would say if Auburn's going to win 9, Jackson Arnold's stats are going to look something like 9-3. He's going to look. It's going to look something like 3,200 yards to 3,500 yards, and it's going to be 28-9. Something like that, give or take a few hundred yards, give or take a couple touchdowns, something like that. 3,200-ish yards, 28-ish touchdowns, 9-8 picks. I think then that's, yeah. I don't know about running backs. I mean, it's such a committee thing. And,
what Jarquez Hunter had last year?
How many what?
Do you know how many yards he had rushing?
What did he finish with? Over 1,000? Didn't he get over 1,000?
1,200.
Yeah.
He had 8 touchdowns.
First time since what? Carry on? 1,000-yard rusher? Or did Whitlow ever go over 1,000? I don't think Whitlow did it. And then nobody in COVID. I don't think anybody had done it since 20. They had a run of
Tank. Did Tank have it?
Tank. Oh yeah, Tank may have done it.
I think Tank did. He got right over 1,000 one year. You know that Jarquez led the league in yards
Tank did
per
in
carry?
21, 1,099 and 21. Tank did, but that was it. Tank was the only 1,000-yard rusher since carry on in 2017, and he barely did it. But Jarquez went 900 plus, 1,200 yards. What now?
He led the league, led the SEC in yards per carry. Jarquez, 6.4.
Yeah, Kentucky game certainly helped.
Yeah, it helped a lot. That's one of the most, I think it's like 4th single game rushing record for Auburn, 4th or 3rd.
Off the first half of that game, man, went
278. Yeah. So I'm kind of with you. I think you can even get into double-digit interceptions if your touchdown ratio is fine. I mean, I think Auburn's got to stop playing it safe so much. You got to push it a little bit, and if you're going to push it, you're going to have some turnovers. It's going to happen. You can't live and die by that, though. You have to be able to overcome interceptions, whereas Auburn was not able to last year.
Yep, I think the more yeah. Maybe, golly, the dynamic of Jackson Arnold, Hugh Freeze is absolutely one of the most interesting storylines in college football next year. I mean, there's so many nuances to both of those guys looking for a bounce back year, trying to get back on track. It's just a ton of nuances. I mean, look at Jackson Arnold last year, sacked the most in the SEC. Their offense was a mess. So how do you critique him last year? How are you fair in your critique when you're like, golly, man, they couldn't keep him upright, or it was a mess and they fired their offensive coordinator in October, but he probably didn't. He fumbled. He had fumble problems. It just like you could go a lot of ways. Same with Freeze. Like, and it just you could go a lot of ways in looking at why it could work this year and just be fantastic, or why it could absolutely not work. You could, or anywhere in between. There's just a lot of avenues to go.
I just went and looked at the stat lines of some of the best quarterbacks last year. Cam Ward. Oh my gosh, it's 4,313 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That was the ratio there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jackson Arnold, 3,200 yards, 28-9. That's in the big scheme of things, college football wise. That's a little above average. Like that's not elite. That is not an elite. I mean, that's a great year. Don't get me wrong, but like you just said, Cam Ward threw for 1,000 more yards than that. He threw for a lot more. 10 plus more. Like that's not. I'm not asking Jackson Arnold to be elite. Even the top 10 quarterback. I mean, 3,000 yards, 28-9 is like, that's a really good year, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that do that.
Yeah. And then Shedeur Sanders had 4,134 yards. He had a 74% completion rate. That's crazy. On 477 attempts, 10 interceptions, 37 touchdowns. Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
So just to give you a reference of what what some of these guys are doing. Let's see. Z Money says, should we just shut down the program and become a basketball school?
No, football still brings in a lot of money. It's a football school. Although I'm interested to see how revenue sharing kicks into this stuff. I mean, football is going to get their share. I posted on the board on Monday kind of how I thought it would sort of split up, and football will be fine because every team in the SEC's football's king, and football will get most of it. They will make sure football's getting what they get. Basketball is unfortunately the sport that I think is gonna. We'll have to see how it shakes out. They're going to take a hit in what they get from the rev share cap, and then it's just how do you make up the gap? How do you go through NIL Go? Does the market change if the money's not as free flowing? If you can't just if it's harder to go through all the $600 deals, will the rosters be as much? Can players ask for as much? We don't know. So I don't know. In other words, for basketball, let's say they get 3 million rev share. Do they still have to get to 9 to build out a championship roster, or does everything come back down a little bit and they only got to get to 6.5, 7? Like, that's a big difference. Football, is the cap still way up here, or with rev share, does it come down a little bit in terms of what players are asking for, and does it change the top dollar number? It'll be interesting to it'll be interesting to see. Like, do quarterbacks still ask for $4 million, and teams are going, dude, we can't. Like, we have a clearinghouse now. I have a cap. I give you 4 and I've got 14. It'll just be interesting to see if some of the numbers come down a little bit, but I don't know.
Well, he comes back, Z Money, and says, just kidding. What do you want to see in game 1 that will give you confidence for the season?
A win.
Definitely that.
No, that can't be just a win. They beat Cal 2 years ago, and that didn't really mean much.
I've heard a lot of people comparing this to, like, this would be one of the biggest road wins. That's not what I'm saying when I say this game is such a big deal. It's a big deal because of perception. Winning or losing it doesn't matter that much to your season, really. It just matters to get started on the right foot. I mean, you could lose that game and go win the SEC. I'm not saying that's possible or it might happen, but you could do it. It doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, I think winning that game on the road is almost the equivalent to beating Cal on the road.
I froze up. See if he comes back on. Well, but the thing about, and I'll let when Cole comes back on, I'll let him finish his thought. The thing about next year, I look at it at Baylor, at Oklahoma. I'll toss in at Texas A&M is going to be pretty good. Like that, I don't think I would lump Oklahoma and A&M quite the same. A&M is going to be good. Like, I'd give Auburn a better chance of going to Oklahoma and winning than A&M. But I kind of look at Baylor, at Oklahoma. I think A&M is going to be a tough one. And then I would say I don't even know. I mean, one of these other games, whether you want to say Vanderbilt on the road, which is crazy, but we know that Cole said the power went out. Vanderbilt on the road, Zach, it's crazy to say that's a tweener game. But you got to give some credit to Diego Pavia and what he's capable of. I mean, they beat Alabama last year. You got to give him credit to being a gamer and a guy that's can kind of make anything happen. But I would sort of disagree with Cole and say Baylor is a big game. It's not just a big game because it's the first one. It's a big game. It's one of about 3 or 4 games that can swing your season one way or another. Those games that could go either way. I think it's going to be viewed. I think he said that the question was, if they win that game, it'll be one of the bigger road wins that Auburn's had in recent years. And that's true. I don't know. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's just more of an indictment on where the Auburn football program has been. Although Baylor's, I mean, what are these? I mean, what are some of predictions? I mean, Baylor's picked to win the Big 12 by some teams. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, so it'd be a big win regardless. It might feel like beating Kansas State in 14 or something, but I think it's a pretty big one. What's Rebecca say? Do y'all think if we have a 9-3 type season, Jackson comes back for a second year? Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah. What else we got, Zach? Any more? Y'all hate that the game is on Friday like I do. Either going to be happy drunk all weekend or really mad drunk. I'm okay with it being on Friday. Gives us a weekend back for people that cover the team, so I'm okay with it. I kind of feel for fans that have high school football on Friday. What if your kid's playing or your coach or whatever, how can you sort of do both? Obviously, the coaching staff likes it on Friday because they agreed to do it. So I'm okay with it. It'll get them some nice national exposure on Friday. So I'm okay with it. Cole, I was saying on the Baylor game, I kind of disagree. Like, I agree with you and disagree with you. It's a big game because it's game one, but I think it's one of 3 or 4 games that could really determine the swing of the season. Like, I think it's I think it's very similar to maybe how we viewed Oklahoma last year, even though they ended up losing all of the swing games last year. They lost to Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri and Vanderbilt. But we were sort of looking at Oklahoma last year like that game pretty early, a game you think you might be able to win. It's a big one in a kind of that swing category. That's kind of how I view that Baylor game, because I think Oklahoma's probably in that category. As crazy as it sounds, Vanderbilt's in that category. You got to give credit to Pavia.
Can you hear me right now?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm running off my phone Wi-Fi. Power kicked off.
You're good. I'm about to roll in a second anyway.
It's a huge game. It's a huge game. I'm not saying it's not a huge game. It's just once you win it, let's say Auburn just wins it. Okay, you were supposed to. Yeah. It's not one of those where it's this landmark victory because Auburn was such an underdog. Auburn's not an underdog.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it such a big deal, is because maybe Vegas is betting on Auburn being the victor here, and Auburn fans are going, good Lord. I mean, what if is that? How bad can it get?
Yeah,
and that's why it's such a big deal. I think it's Justin, we had a lot of questions. We'll get to them on the next one. We'll do this again Thursday.
That sounds good. Your power's out. We understand. Let's save them. Let's bank them, and we'll roll through a bunch on Thursday.
All right.
All right, we'll get out of here, I guess. See if Cole survives. I guess we'll get some of those storms soon in Auburn. So we'll see you by Thursday. All right, I think he's out.